This video is sponsored by The Lord of the Rings Heroes of Middle-earth. This is the hour of the Shire folk, when they arise from their quiet fields to shake the towers and councils of the great. Who of all the wise could have foreseen it? Or if they are wise, why should they expect to know it until the hour has struck? Hey everyone, Yoyston here, and I hope you all are doing well, wherever you are in Middle-earth. Today we are going to be taking a look at something that, in all honesty, I have always pondered and have been rather confused by myself. The question of what was Gandalf's original plan during the events of The Lord of the Rings. Now, I did make a similar theory video about what if Gandalf had survived in Moria a while back, which does explore a similar concept and outcome, but this video is concerned more with Gandalf's intentions and plans from a character point of view and from a canon perspective. I had to do a fair amount of research, so there are some related articles and videos that helped in the creation of today's video in the description and cards. Before we get started, I would like to thank the sponsor for today's video. The Lord of the Rings Heroes of Middle-earth is a new CRPG from Capital Games and EA that lets you collect your favorite characters, both good and evil, and explore Middle-earth. Relive your favorite stories along with brand new ones based on Tolkien's works. Collect characters from across every faction, orcs, elves, goblins, dwarves, trolls, and more, and pit them against each other to test exciting scenarios never explored in the novels. Can a troll defeat the Great Goblin? Can Gimli really fell more orcs than Legolas? What if Galadriel did take the One Ring? Elrond is coming soon to Heroes of Middle-earth. Be sure to collect 5 elven characters before his Legendary Adventure event starts June 26th. Legendary Adventures are limited-time events that give players an opportunity to upgrade their characters and unlock powerful legendary characters. Legendary Adventures may return in the future, but are only available for a short time, so make sure to be prepared with 5 elven characters. Even if you miss Elrond's Legendary Adventure event, there are still tons of exciting Lord of the Rings characters to collect and stories to explore. Download the Lord of the Rings Heroes of Middle-earth for free using the link in the description or by scanning the QR code with your phone. Please check this game out, and thank you to Capital Games and EA once again for sponsoring this video. Now, on to our story. As we know from The Lord of the Rings, Gandalf did have to make many changes along the way, altering some sort of original plan to fit the final form of his adventure. Certainly, he did not think that he was going to be slain by Durin's Bane, nor did he perhaps plan to help Rohan or Gondor in the ways that he did, when he must have planned forward from Rivendell, which is where this video will be concerned. In the end, however, those things happened, and Gandalf adjusted his plan and improvised enough where he needed to in order to help the Free Peoples find victory. But what was that original plan? At least, again, what was it when he left Rivendell, accompanied by the rest of the Fellowship of the Ring, as before then he couldn't have even been entirely sure that Frodo would make it with the ring to Rivendell. But that was surely his hope, being delayed by a treasonous wizard and some Nazgul during his own story. Let's take a look at a few key things, some quotes from characters in the books, and see what we can surmise of Gandalf's original plan when the Fellowship left Rivendell. As stated in the beginning of this video, Elrond admits that none among the wise could have foreseen the greatest doom of the Third Age of the world would be laying on the hobbits, who, until the deeds of Thorin's company, had played little role in the rest of the events of the world, especially the great world-changing events. Yet I think that had been one of the lessons learned by the White Council up to that point. Who could have predicted the utter betrayal of Saruman, the existence of a creature such as Gollum who found the ring, or the pure luck that Bilbo would come by it and that it would help so much during the events of The Hobbit? I think Elrond had learned that much concerning the great or important events of the world had also much to do with happenstance and unexpected fate, not luck per se, but unpredictable circumstances. Thus, ere the Fellowship departed, it seems that Elrond himself, nor Gandalf, was really quite sure exactly what would befall them on their road, nor what awaited them at the end. Now, of course, that's what it means to have an adventure, that the unexpected awaits you, but this feels a bit different. The fate of the world was tied to this group, one member of which was a member of the White Council, Amaya, one of the wise, but he didn't have a plan? Well, I personally don't believe that Gandalf would attempt something with no plan entirely, but perhaps Gandalf only had the first leg of the journey planned, having some rough estimate of what came afterwards. Go over the mountains, or under them, and onto Lothlórien. That much, at least, we do know Gandalf had planned for, as stated by Aragorn. "We have not decided our course," said Aragorn. "Beyond Lothlórien, I do not know what Gandalf intended to do. Indeed, I do not think that even he had any clear purpose." Now, who am I to gainsay Aragorn, who took on the role of the leader of the Fellowship of the Ring after the death of Gandalf the Grey? If he believes Gandalf had no plan beyond Lórien, then it is the most solid answer we will probably get in this video. Yet, I don't believe that Gandalf did not have at least the foundations of a plan for getting the One Ring to Mount Doom beyond Lothlórien. For why else would he have chosen Lórien as their first destination, especially when he needed to improv, and rather than going over the mountains, go under them? He still needed to get to Lórien somehow, so that must have been important in the plan. He could have gone anywhere, north to Mirkwood, and taking the mountain pass that Bilbo took on his adventure, south to Gondor, even western Gondor in the Belfalas region, or even to Mithlond to take a ship from Lindon to a southern Gondor port like Pelargir, going northeast from there. But no, Gandalf did not, even saying that the Gap of Rohan would lead them too close to Isengard, and that the southwestern road to Minas Tirith would take too long. Therefore, I believe Gandalf had the inkling of a plan, and was very aware of the pieces on the board before him, and that plan included very much going to Lothlórien specifically. Aragorn and Boromir would eventually make for the road south and would go to Minas Tirith. They only had a limited amount of time before Saruman destroyed Rohan and Sauron destroyed Gondor. Thus, Lothlórien would be the closest and safest place to Mordor for making a last plan, but far enough from the world of men that the One Ring wouldn't corrupt anyone, really. As I am sure that Gandalf did not want the ring to get too close to Gondor for that reason, and the war, if the ring didn't have to be that close. I must imagine that he was going to use the wisdom of Galadriel, perhaps even her mirror, and so forth, to make his final plan. Mayhaps even Radagast and his friends in the Wild to the north would have been a part of that plan as well, for they had already helped Gandalf before. But if I were to hazard a guess about what Gandalf would have done had he made it to Lothlórien, what plan he would have made for afterwards, I would say that he probably would have made as direct a course for Mount Doom and around danger at the same time as possible. Knowing what we do about Gandalf, he had no qualms about going over mountains, as Thorin's company does it in The Hobbit, and the Fellowship attempts to do it in The Lord of the Rings. Therefore, it may be that Gandalf would have wanted to take boats down the River Anduin, like the company does in his absence in the canon. However, they would have rather gone pretty far east, crossing through the Brownlands towards the Ash Mountains, and probably trying to climb those somehow to get into Mordor and head towards Mount Doom from there. Knowing Gandalf's wisdom, and that the strength of the company was in stealth and secrecy, not in open power, I really doubt that Gandalf would have tried the Black Gate, or even the Morgul Road up to Cirith Ungol, if he even knew about that route at all. But it's possible. I doubt Gandalf would have risked the lives of the hobbits and the ring like that. Therefore, I think he would have sought some way over the Ash Mountains so that they could cross into Mordor. But here's the other part of the literature of the Saul. Gandalf's wisdom came from a measure of foresight, but also through awareness, observation, wisdom, and faith. Gandalf believed that Bilbo would make a difference during the quest of Erebor, but he did not know how. He knew Frodo would be the best ring-bearer any could ask for, yet, beyond going to Rivendell, Gandalf did not ask him to continue to bear it. He finds the perfect balance of being a proactive actor in the affairs of the world without forcing his will upon the world for things to happen as he would want. Gandalf will tip the scales in favor of the West from time to time, absolutely, always acting in their favor. But he is not so forceful to ensure every plan he has works. In fact, we could even argue that most of Gandalf's original plans acquire so much alteration that they're not really his original plans at all. I cannot even say that my idea of him going to the Ash Mountains would have really even been the case, as he surely would have seen the power of Isengard, especially when the Uruk-hai attacked the Fellowship and slew Boromir, assuming that that would still happen, and he would realize that they were running on a very limited amount of time, as Rohan would need immediate aid, and Gondor would afterwards, or these realms of men would fall even sooner than he thought. At least, this is what seems to happen in the books when he returns as Gandalf the White. He realizes that Frodo and Sam need to go forth alone in the wild, and that he and the three hunters were needed in Rohan and then Gondor to save them. But if he had lived as the Grey Wizard, it's hard for me to believe that he would have been so easy to let Frodo and Sam go on their own. But he only accepted that he should not find them in the wild once he had returned as the White Wizard. This is the nature of Gandalf, to get pulled away from the main task or quest, and company by other pressing duties or by force. There are so many instances of Gandalf getting pulled away from some sort of main quest because he noticed something else, or he realized that he needed to do something else or be somewhere else. Gandalf is the manager of a great many tasks, which often pull his attention away from the task at hand. Now, I say all of this, looking at this from more of the meta-literature perspective, to mean that perhaps Gandalf did know to some degree that he would help the Fellowship get started, but he knew he wouldn't be there with Frodo at Mount Doom in the end. It even occurs to me as I'm making this video that even if there were 4 more Gandalfs, he might still be overextended. And to be fair, there were supposed to be 4 more Gandalfs, 4 wizards who all ignored their duties and did other things, leaving Gandalf to pick up so much slack. Just as Bilbo spoke to Smaug on his own, or stole the Arkenstone of his own volition, Frodo would need help to destroy the ring, but that help could not be Gandalf. At least not directly, as we know Gandalf would still do whatever he could to help Frodo, in any capacity. Even if Gandalf the Grey had survived, Gandalf surely would have realized that Rohan and Gondor would fall if he continued to journey with Frodo, and their one potential victory with destroying the ring would be overshadowed by the destruction of the world of men. And so, as Aragorn says, Gandalf must not have had a plan past Lórien originally, but he knew that a plan would become clear when it would reveal itself, and he had the intuition and contributions of a character of good faith to decide what to do with the time he was given, to see all of the signs and act accordingly. And so, I think that's a good place to end our inquiry on what was Gandalf's original plan in The Lord of the Rings. All we have to decide is what to do with the time that is given us. Thank you all so much for watching. I hope you all enjoyed this dive into Middle-earth's lore. If you did, please be sure to hit that like button and share this with a friend. What do you all think Gandalf's true plan was? Let me know in the comments below. Again, this is something that I've pondered for many years, but I think this video has helped me answer it. Thanks again to The Lord of the Rings, the Heroes of Middle-earth, for sponsoring this video. Check the game out in the description below. Thanks to our Valor Tier patrons and YouTube members: Peter Shepard, Jonathan Putnam, Blair Scout and Merton, John Hume, Sam McBee, Elizabeth Calvert, Maz Gibbs, Reese Jenkins, Adam Petrolik, Anthony Harmon, Arthur Merlin, Dale Davis, Kingswild Project, and King of Games 2500. Thank you all so much. Please subscribe and hit that bell button to join the Men of the West and all of the Free Peoples today. And I'll see you all again next week with a video on Eorl the Young, the first king of Rohan. My friends, thank you all so much for joining me on this adventure. Until the next one.